afternoon, whenever you may be watching this. Keep it same sort of feel as the last couple of days. Keep it relatively short. I could talk about lots of horses, lots of races all day, but I'm going to keep it concise. Obviously, now this is being recorded after we've had day one results. How good was Chacun Pour Soi? Like, it was a fairly obviously one, I would have thought, for me. The proper 2 mile chase it in the race wasn't anything different to what I expected. Obviously, we had Echoes in Rain. That was a very, very nice performance, beating Blue Lord. But I don't know. The only reason why I'm referencing this is because people have mentioned her in the comments. Look, clearly she looks quite nice. She is a second season novice, so she's entitled to be that little bit further forward than some of the other novices. Wasn't really that decent a grade 1, so more like another grade 2 for her to notch up. I don't know. I just reckon she's got a couple of stone to improve. Well, at least a stone and a half to improve to be anything champion hurdlish. That's obviously the case for when you go into open company where the aims would be, but fair play to her. Got the job done, didn't she? But then she was priced accordingly to do so, regardless of Punchestown and choosing Blue Lord. So, result as expected, I suppose. Monkfish Envoy was obviously like a little bit deflating, wasn't it? The fact that, you know, we'd like to see some sort of battle served up. But I said straight after Cheltenham when Envoy was a bit iffy in the prelims, and then obviously made the mistake. Like he looked a little bit like his head may be gone. So he was one that I just had penciled down as a lay for next time out in here, because he was always going to be relatively short next time out, people liking him. So obviously there was something wrong with him. He was reported lame after, so I wasn't expecting him to pull up or anything, but just think he'll be better once he's had his summer with Henry. They can try and sort some issues out, and then hopefully for next season he can build on the promise that we know that he's shown, and see what sort of horse he is. But yeah, slightly worried about his head at the moment. Monkfish was just looked a bit slow, I think. Cool Reevy was a proper decent winner, to be fair to her. She made a couple of sloppy jumps as well, so regardless of what anything else did in behind, she's won that on merit there. And fair play to her. She's exceeded what I thought she was capable of doing, which potentially plays down how good Monkfish now looks after that RSA run and what's happened there. But it's a novice chase at the end of the day, isn't it? These horses are entitled to improve as they go on. So yeah, that's a bit of a review-ish. Now, we'll get on to Thursday stuff. Thursday, I'll be honest, and I'll do this early on in the video, there's not too much that I really fancy here in terms of betting. In fact, there's very few, possibly if any, bets that I may be chucking up in here. But if you're interested in knowing my thoughts on some of the races anyway, you can carry on. If not, I've saved you 10 minutes, and happy days. We have got some confirmations of the entries for like the Champion Hurdle, and then Bob Ollinger's race looks smallish field. So you can check that sort of stuff out on Twitter to see who's going in there. But yeah, Friday will be half decent, and then so will Saturday. There's a horse in the juvenile that I want to talk about when we get to that day that I might back. Basically, with Punchestown, we know this every year. There's lots of horses that will run multiple times during the week. So Polished Steel that I suggested on the first day was a bet to lay. Worked out. He was 50s plus on the exchange beforehand. Traded lower than 20s, I think, at some point. Just his style of running. He's going to run on Thursday. He's entered up, so we'll come on to him at that point. Handicap hurdle to kick off. It's an 88 to 123 race. So it's a pretty piss poor race, to be honest. There'll be some interesting runners that are in there. Cousin Harry, that's already won on the first day, is entered in here. Carries £5 penalty. Be popular for obvious reasons. The fact that he's just gone and won a race, but ain't going to be a race that I'm going to be looking into in too much depth. There's a Grade B handicap chase, so this is quite a nice looking handicap chase. The problem with the better class handicaps are you get lots of horses in there that you just like them for namesake, the horses that may have followed before, and quite often when you get to this stage of the handicaps, you're getting horses in there that you thought were going to be better than they are. They haven't really shown it, so you're still clutching a little bit at straws, very much like you Polished Steel and Exit Pole that run in the handicap hurdle the first day. Both of them didn't really run a proper race, but they're both ended up in here. So I'm a little bit, I don't know, whether they tried to just get a spin in for fitness. I don't know what it was. Jungle Junction's the other Jesse Harrington horse that goes in here. That's one that Robbie Power's riding. 6-year-old improving, a likeable sort for it. Suddy Doc, you guys will know that I've got a soft spot for this horse. I thought he was a bit unlucky at Aintree. He was a bit unlucky at Newbury when he bumped into Fanny and Destrival. I think the Irish mark 137, which is about £4 lower than his British mark, is all right. Simon Torrens takes a few pounds off. I like Simon as well, so Suddy Doc's on the short list. Unaccepted was a horse that I was thinking potentially could be an Arkoi horse, so 148 in a handicap like this, probably got to have a chance, didn't he? In Tucas Run, so winning that Grand Annual, we've got Paloma Blue in there that's pants now, but threatened to be something half decent before, didn't it? There's just loads of horses in it that have got chances. Even Raya Time, I was a proper sucker for this horse a long time back. Can't believe this is running in handicaps now over 2 miles off a 127. Like this, I was adamant this horse was 140s plus capable. I think it'll be suited to the pace of a race like this. Whether Punchestown will suit or not, I don't know, because I remember it was pretty poor there over hurdles. But yeah, it's just one of those races where you can have an opinion on so many, and I hate to say it, but you just need so much luck to get that race right. So it wouldn't be one that I'd be wanting to play in. I will be sticking up my Colossus plays pools on there. They're the sort of races where they're quite interesting because you can put a handful of horses in there if you can't weight it down to have an interest for the day. There's a cross-country chase after this, 4 mile 2. Obviously, yesterday we had an incident with You Cannot Be Serious hitting the bank. There was a couple of horses that slipped up as well, so I'm not so keen in seeing this race again. Yeah, Singing Banjo that won that race is entered up and declared to go in here again. Alfred Azoba's in there that obviously ran like okay in the National, but was just never really in the race, was it? Stand Up and Fights in here, the JP horse I don't really think wants the trip. Some Next, quite a nice horse. Ratings and everything should be there or thereabouts. Probably the likely fav, but wouldn't be a race that I want to play, and it's a novelty in it, and I don't think I'll be watching it, to be honest. Then we've got the Stairs Hurdle, the Grade 1 3 mile race. It looks interesting, if not for the fact that Flooring Porter won really well at Cheltenham. Gavin Cromwell mentioned before that he needed a rail to run against, so he was worried about that for Cheltenham, but it didn't seem a problem at all. He's only a 6-year-old. He's the sort of horse when they go and do those Grade 1 performances at the Cheltenham Festival, you look at him and think, well, what's really going to stop him going and doing that again and again and again and again at Cheltenham? And as it stands, there's nothing stopping him doing that. So he does need to back it up with a performance here, though, for me. He's priced accordingly, 13 to 8-ish fav. He is the most likely winner off the back of that Stairs Hurdle win, but I just don't think the 3 mile division's the greatest. It's people knock it anyway, don't they? Say that you want your 2 mile hurdlers and chasers, then you want your stay-in chasers, and like it's the 4th division of National Hunt racing, and maybe it is. He's the only 160s horse in here, the rest are 150s odds, but it's interesting to see some of the ones that are in it. So Fury Road, I like that horse anyway, wasn't really that great at Cheltenham, but forgive him a little bit. He's only a 6 to 1 poke though, so it's not really worth playing. Beacon Edge, 5 to 1-ish poke, I'm not really sure the trip suits him. Ground will be quite nice though, I think. Classical Dream makes his long awaited, anticipated comeback run. He wears a hood for the first time. Breeding suggests that he would stay. How could you trust him? But one worth a mention anyway. Saudi, they're stepping up in trip. We know how much everyone thinks of that horse. Just think it looks like, if I go back right to what I said at the beginning, with Flooring Porter was so good at Cheltenham, you question whether he can do that over and over again. Like, could he be next year's Stayers Hurdle winner? And yes, absolutely he could. Time Hill's the chief threat, and they're going to be staying over hurdles with him, I believe. So be nice to tie up or to tee up that sort of clash. But I wasn't sold with Flooring Porter before Cheltenham. I'm a bit more sold now, but I won't be paying to find out, basically. Like, I expect him to win, but I wouldn't be backing him in there. It's the sort of performance now where, as much as you could look at some names that are in there, like your Saudi, your Fury Road, your Classical Dreams, the Storyteller, like they sound like they're the ones that are in that sphere, don't they? They're all like not quite top class. So even if he does go and get it done here, I still think there's a few more bits to answer. But looks a really nice race. I've gone through it quite a bit, looking at horses to see if I could squeeze any value out of anything. And the fact that I was coming to Classical Dream as attempting one at a price just shows you how far wrong I am in the race, that I shouldn't be playing on it. So I won't be playing. Then we got the handicap hurdle after this, Grade 2 or Grade B handicap hurdle, 3 miles. Fleur, the horse I put up in the Martin Pike to run a big race, goes in here off top weight. That's going to be fairly tricky to carry. They tried this horse over 3 miles before, and it was running. That was in a Grade 3 behind Run Wild Fred, which is like, it's a better class of stuff. But like, you'd think he would have stayed a little bit better than he did that day if he really did want to get the trip. So like, I wouldn't be really looking to follow up backing him at Cheltenham and then backing him in here. Although I do quite like the horse. Dallas Depicton off 137, I do think is very interesting there. Someone that I talked to quite a bit about the horses that I respect an awful lot, almost put me onto him a bit. Basically just reminding that we think that this horse is quite good. We do think that the step up in trip is going to suit, although there's been races in the past where he has stepped up in better company and it's not really worked out. But he did win a handicap hurdle over 3 miles a while back, admittedly off £7 lower. Just that comeback run at Cheltenham was enough to suggest that maybe a win is not too far around the corner for this horse. There's a few other ones in there though. Pure Genius, I quite liked that horse. They skipped Cheltenham with him, and I was half looking at him as a really weird, curved Albert Bartlett horse. So I think if I'm talking about him in that particular front, and I did back him at the Leopardstown Festival as well, then I don't know, maybe on this better ground at 3 miles, like maybe he can work. He's £8 higher than when he got beat in that Leopardstown race though, so I don't know. But course and distance winner, like Pure Genius could go on the shortlist easily. There's a few others in there that, like Capodanno, I don't think he's done what everyone expected him to do, but again, Mark Walsh has picked to ride Pure Genius, so maybe that's the telling factor in there. Young Ted is a horse that I'm probably going to back in this. I need to see what the prices are doing with it, but this horse, long time back when he was running in his bumpers, I thought he was quite a good horse, or potentially quite a good horse anyway. I thought he was crying out for a step up in trip. I put him up on the page for Punchestown the last time they ran, which was 2019, when he got beat by My Sister Stara in the handicap hurdle. Now that was over 3 miles. I don't even know if it was actually the same race as this, to be honest with you, but he ran really well. That was off the same mark that he runs off in here. He was getting £3 from My Sister Sarah back then. She's now a 140s rated mare. So while he hasn't really shown a lot in the last few starts, like there's a part of me that just feels like this horse off the mark could go very well. And whether they thought about this particular meeting is a long way out, I don't know. But I can just see that, I don't know what sort of price he'd be, but if we could get a biggish price, 20s plus, 25-ish, I could see some money coming for him, or I could see him being another one that you could potentially trade in running. So Young Ted's definitely on there. Pure Genius, Dallas Depict on, potentially ones I might look at a little bit, but probably just stick with Young Ted and maybe look to trade a little bit or take a bit of a punt. But yeah, not really too enthused with Thursday's race for punting, which is why I said earlier, wouldn't be many, if any, bets. The 2 mile Novices Chase, obviously Energumen's going to be a warm order to win that. Probably should be winning it, to be honest. It's not really a lot more I can say from that. Janadil, I think, is next best in there. I know lots of people like Captain Guinness, but I like Janadil. The problem with him is he's quite inconsistent. So sometimes he'll look like he's quite good, then he'll run again and he looks like he's not so good. So I feel like maybe he's just not really a proper Grade 1 horse, despite having notched up a Grade 1 win at Fairy House. So if Energumen was going to come unstuck, I'd say it'd be with stablemate Janadil, but I won't be paying to find that out either. We've got the Mares Novices Hurdle, listed race. Again, like these are the sort of races where sometimes you can have a really strong opinion on a horse and then they can back that up through the season, so they can keep putting in decent performances and it can make you think, right, I've got this horse right, and I want to keep backing it. Gaulois is the one that I still think has got bundles of ability, but she's just not really showing it yet. The Fairy House run was fairly good. Cheltenham run was obviously poor. I still just think we haven't seen the best of her yet. But again, like she's going to be short enough in it. Magic Days, that was second at Cheltenham in the Mares Novice Hurdle, like was well ahead of Gaulois, or Gauloise, no matter how I try and say it, it doesn't make a difference, does it? So yeah, like I wouldn't be betting in the race, but I don't know. Magic Days is on the upward curve, very unexposed, and probably is the right fav in the race. But I like Gauloise, something about her. But I again won't be paying to find out. Just to sit back, boring, watch that one. Then we've got a bumper, very cheap bumper in terms of prize money. It's only €6,000 to the winner. You go to that Land Rover bumper on day one that wasn't even a Grade 1. That was €69,000 or €59,000. The Grade 1 bumper today is €59,000. So this is like the weakest, cheapest. One of the bumpers of the week. Grand Jury, Dysart Dynamo are the two really that look like they're the ones you want to talk about in here. Patrick Mullins rode both of them on their bumpers. Grand Jury, ex-pointer, probably wants a little bit further than this. Again, the guy that I respect as a judge thinks this could be a bit of a Ballymore horse, so we'll see how the performance goes. It's not a race that I'd want to be betting in per se. And Jamie Codd was 20th and 21st out of 22 horses in the bumpers the last couple of days. Not that necessarily matters, but it's part of something to think about a little bit in it. But Dysart Dynamo looked very quick, looks like a nice horse, and it's Willie Mullins in the bumper in it. So again, nothing away from the first two in the bet in there that would really need me to tell you anything about it, but won't particularly be playing in there. But for the future, I think Grand Jury could be a really exciting novice hurdler for next season, and there's no reason to say that Dysart Dynamo couldn't be either. it is just one of the weaker bumpers of the race in terms of prize money, but those two do look quite nice horses anyway. So I'd kind of hope that those pair pull clear of the rest. There's still a few in there that are like not exactly full-blown back markers, like Cool Jet's well bred, hasn't really shown what that can do, but I still would expect those two to pull clear, hopefully, in that bumper. So that's about it for Thursday. Friday, Saturday, I'll be back again to do those. A few more fancies coming up on those races, but it's just typical in these sort of meetings. You need to just judge them as they are. Just because there's lots of racing on doesn't mean you have to have an interest or a bet in each of the races. You guys know as much as I do about horses, the majority of you anyway, so trust your own stuff. Any fancies that you guys have got, stick them in the comments below, because I do like reading all the comments and seeing what your thoughts are. Helps everybody else as well, doesn't it? And yeah, be lucky. See you on the other side.